Yo, what's up guys, it's NLW Figs here, back again with another video. Today, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favourite matches of the year in wrestling. There have been so many great matches from the pre-pandemic era to now, with crowds back in full force. It's really been a great year for wrestling, and these aren't necessarily going to be the necessarily best matches of the year, they're just my favourites personally. And you might disagree with me, but I'm happy if you do, because you can let me know in the comments below. But without further ado, let's get into the list. And I'd like to give an honourable mention just at the start of this video to Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson, going a full hour on Dynamite. A fantastic match, go out of your way to watch it. The only reason it's not on my top 10 favourites is because it ended in a draw, and it's, actually no, not because it ended in a draw, because there will be a match on this list that did end in a draw, but just the fact that it went an hour and a lot of it was stalling, crowd work and stuff like that, which is fine because they are going the distance and you know they're going to do more in their inevitable rematch down the line, but I just wanted to say a great effort from both of them. Starting off at number 10, we've got Pac versus Andrade El Idolo. Now, you can pick either of their matches from Rampage. The first one was great, and arguably the second one was even better, and that's the one that's going to make this list. Yeah, just great chemistry between the two of them. It's really a shame because you kind of see a lot of early NXT in this matchup, and kind of that indie style, but Pac always brings it, is fantastic. Andrade as well is quite slept on. A lot of people say he hasn't had the best start in AEW. I would personally disagree. I think he's been putting on some fantastic matches, and this one against Pac was no exception. It made Rampage a must-watch show in the beginning, and yeah, it's a shame it got bumped from All Out, but it was really given the time to shine on both Rampage matches. The second one is what's going to be number 10 on my list, but go out of your way to watch it because I don't think it's going to be talked about a lot just because it is quite a TV feud, but the matches have over-delivered in my opinion, and I cannot wait for Pac to step in the ring with Malachi Black once again, with the whole eye patch gimmick that Pac has going on right now, and Andrade. We're looking forward to seeing what he does in the future, but yeah, would love to see another encounter between these two. Number 9 on my list is going to be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1 between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. There was a lot of promise with the women's division in WWE at the start of the year. It reminded me a lot of John Cena and Batista in 2005 when you had Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, and the Rhea Ripley-Asuka match, it was okay, nothing too special about that one, but this one I thought was very entertaining to watch. Definitely deserved to main event night 1 of WrestleMania. Although the feud and the build-up wasn't great, they delivered in the match. Bianca Belair showing off her strength. Sasha Banks has experience with these big matches, so it was great to see the women of WWE get to shine on this big stage with fans back, and a really emotional moment with Bianca Belair finally winning the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's a shame how that ended for her, but at the time it was a great coronation and it really made Bianca Belair feel like a star. It's just a shame that that momentum hasn't continued through the rest of the year in the women's division, but at this point, when I was watching it live, I thought it was a great match and a great effort between the two women. The next one might be a controversial one, but I'm going to pick for number 8, a last man standing match between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns way back at the Royal Rumble. Now, it's not going to make many top 10 lists this year, but for me personally, I really enjoyed this match. It felt like an Attitude Era brawl. Quite similar as well, I remember a match between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus at Fastlane that really utilised the Thunderdome kind of area and the arena, and that's why I really liked this match. It was unique because they were using all of these different sets in the Thunderdome to their advantage between the two of them. And, you know, last man standing matches tend to be quite boring a lot of the time. You're waiting for the guy to stand up, but I thought they really paced it quite well. There was also some wacky stuff with Roman Reigns running down Kevin Owens with the golf cart, as well as Owens jumping off with a frog splash through a table off a ladder. And then finally, you know, spears off the stage, and at the end, that was the kind of the main talking point of the show, was the fact that Roman Reigns couldn't unlock the handcuffs, and that kind of put a damper on the ending. However, I thought it was a really fun brawl. I love those kind of matches that go backstage and utilise the area and the backstage and Falls Count Anywhere, that type of thing. So yeah, not going to make many top 10 lists this year, but for me personally, this last man standing match was very entertaining. Number 7 on my list is Blood and Guts from Dynamite in May. It was Chris Jericho's Inner Circle versus MJF's Pinnacle, and this one really delivered. Not quite the same as War Games you'd see in NXT. This one was bloody, it was brutal, there were a few high spots, apart from the ending, which I'll get to, but they were just beating the hell out of each other for so many minutes. There was blood, there was Wardlow tossing people around, there was Jake Hager being dominant, FTR using the tag team tactics to their advantage, and Santana and Ortiz flying all over the place with Sammy Guevara. There are a lot of different styles in this one, and you know, there were some slow points when they went in picture. However, I thought it was a good ending actually, with MJF pushing Jericho off the top of the cage, even though it looked a little bit hokey with the crash pad. He did actually get injured from that, so you know, it is what it is. However, they could have done some kind of special effects stuff to kind of cover that up, especially when it was like pre-taped. But I would say that you've got a great feud between these two teams, and it really culminated at this event. They did go on to have Stadium Stampede, which, you know, it was fine, but it wasn't really my cup of tea at the time. But this match really delivered, and I thought it was great. Could have been a great ending, but we did get some more between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. But still, brutal match. Very much enjoyed it. Next, sticking with January 2021 at number 6, we have Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly from NXT New Year's Evil for the NXT Championship. These two, whenever they were in the ring, were very hard-hitting with their striking, and I love the way that their styles meshed. I think this was the match that Kyle O'Reilly's nose got busted open. It could have been the one before, but they didn't leave without any scars. They had a match at TakeOver a couple months prior to this as well, which was great. This one as well, I thought, really delivered, and I was really enjoying NXT around this time, early 2021. It's a shame what it became, but we'll forget about that for the purposes of this. I will say, Balor was a great NXT champion. I think Kyle O'Reilly more than held his own. It's a real shame that Kyle O'Reilly, again, didn't really get propelled into the main event scene as we were anticipating. However, I thought this was a great showing and can really show what he can do in a singles capacity, if anyone had forgotten from his tag run. But again, great match for NXT. I just wish that we still had this version alive and well on the USA Network or the WWE Network, but it is what it is. This one, two of my greatest wrestlers I've ever seen, so putting it on my list. Number 5, yes, I know what people are going to say, and I know the ending sucked, but this match was great. Please go back and watch it. And also, technically, that botched explosion wasn't a part of the match. The bell had already rung, so there. This match, fantastic. They used the barbed wire effectively. There were a couple of points, and I'll get the negative out of the way early on. There were a couple of points where the explosions were silly, like on the outside. The bump with the paradigm shift through the barbed wire, that was brutal in itself, but the kind of spooting fireworks stuff, that was a bit hokey. But the actual fireworks on the ring posts and the ring ropes were actually really well used, especially when Omega hit a one-winged angel and Moxley kicked the rope so it exploded in Omega's face. That was a great spot. And also, all of the barbed wire, the way they used it, was great. You know, I like these kind of matches where it gets down and dirty and bloody, so this was right up my street, and a great AEW Championship match. Really kind of solidified Omega as this kind of killer champion and put Moxley over as this tough beast who wouldn't stay down. You know, the ending aside, with the botched explosion, you've heard it all before, one of the worst endings in pay-per-view history probably. However, the match itself, fantastic. Go back and watch it and just cut it off before the explosion hits and pretend it was spectacular. Number 4 on my list is Dr. Britt Baker DMD versus Thunder Rosa, the Lights Out match from Dynamite back in March. Just, what can I say about this one? I feel like it made Britt Baker in this match. The fact that they're bringing a figure of this match out just shows you how much she went through, bleeding all over the place. There were thumbtacks, ladder bumps, table bumps, you name it. Thunder Rosa got the win, but arguably Britt Baker got more out of it. She became the women's champion, and now kind of simmering there is Thunder Rosa, and I believe that Thunder Rosa will be the one to dethrone Britt Baker based on this matchup alone. And yeah, just a great match. Dynamite at this time was firing all cylinders with their main events and their kind of specials, so really glad that this match got to happen. You know, it was just a fantastic hardcore match, and there's a lot of matches on this list that are like Falls Count Anywhere, hardcore, that type of thing, and it's because, you know, the stuff that these wrestlers are going through, and especially Britt Baker, what was it, taking like a couple of thumbtack bumps that were really nasty, like yeah, just great match. Go and watch it if you haven't already. Made Britt Baker that night, and I'm looking forward to getting the release of that figure from that match. Number 3 on my list is AEW Champion Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson from Dynamite Grand Slam. From beginning to end, a great matchup. Started slow, built up to high spots. Really would like to see these two go at it again once Omega is back. It went to a 30-minute draw. The fans may have booed, but I thought it was the right result, and it really was a great showing for both guys. Like, at one point, I remember the Tiger Suplex on the rampway, which spiked Bryan on his head. There were tope suicidas. There was also a top rope dragon suplex, which looked gnarly as hell. So Omega and Bryan battering each other. There wasn't even a kind of an inkling that the match was going to end. They just kept battering each other, and then the bell rang. That's what I liked about this one. It felt natural to have a draw. I don't know whether they should have gone for a draw with Hangman and Danielson just now, but I know that they've got a plan in place, and it was a great match. But this one, yeah, just blew my expectations out of the water. I knew it would be good, but I didn't realise it was going to be this good, and especially in front of Dynamite's largest crowd ever. Certainly a great match to show in front of the packed house in New York, and the fans ate it up, and I loved it too. Bryan's back on the list at number 2 with this WrestleMania main event as Tribal Chief Roman Reigns defended the Universal Championship against Edge and Daniel Bryan in a triple threat match. It's crazy to think that Bryan main evented WrestleMania and now he's main eventing in AEW. It's pretty sick. And you've also got Edge in there too. Now a lot of people believe that Edge versus Roman Reigns should have been the main event, and you know what, I'm inclined to agree with that to an extent. However, I think the inclusion of Daniel Bryan added a wildcard factor in this one that meant that Reigns wouldn't get pinned, if you see what I mean. It made it kind of more unpredictable because I didn't know going into it if Bryan was signing or staying or what, so I was expecting Bryan to win the title, or at least potentially Edge, even though he turned heel in the lead up to this matchup, but I did not see the ending coming personally, with Roman just stacking and pinning them both. Just great stuff. Jey Uso was kind of a non-factor after he was taken out, and then there was, you know, table bumps and all sorts going on, and then Edge looking so vicious with the chair leg submission that you really thought that Roman was going to tap out at some point. But yeah, just had a lot of drama and felt like the first WrestleMania main event in several years that really had a lot of hype behind it and a lot of drama to it, because I think the past couple of years it's been kind of, I don't want to say lackluster, but hasn't really felt like a WrestleMania main event. This one felt like a Ruthless Aggression Mania main event, you know? You had the unstoppable champion, the returning hero in Edge, and also the underdog in Daniel Bryan. All three of these personalities clashed, and it was a great sight to see, and that was Bryan's final pay-per-view match, I believe, so a great way to go out on, and Roman Reigns solidified as the head of the table. And my number 1 favourite match of the year is from All Out. It is the steel cage match between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros. Now, I expected a good match going in. These two always deliver. However, I did not expect the emotion, the drama, the high spots, everything, the creativity going on in this matchup. It had everything, and you know, a lot of times cage matches are quite limiting for wrestlers because they can't do their dives to the outside as they normally would, but they definitely utilised the space to their advantage, using the cage in a multitude of different unique ways, like a couple of coast to coast. At one point there was a thumbtack spot in the boot of Nick Jackson, and yeah, and then the dive from Phoenix off the top of the cage, and eventually sealing the win. And finally the Lucha Bros have won the tag team championships. The Young Bucks' reign of terror had ended on this night, and it was one of the best pay-per-views of the year, topped off by an incredible match between these two teams. Great match up, and I'm really hoping that they run it back and do another feud, because I'd love to see it again. These two great tag teams, Lucha Bros, this has really been their year in terms of tag team wrestling, and I'd really like to see what more tag teams they can go up against in the future, because this one was certainly great, and it's going to be hard to top this, but I know with these 4 guys, they probably can. So that's my top 10 favourite matches of the year. Now, like I said, these aren't necessarily the best matches, they're just the ones that I've enjoyed the most from AEW and WWE. There's also so many other promotions out there that have been putting on great matches like New Japan and the like, so definitely a great year for professional wrestling. But what did you think of the video? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more wrestling figure content. Comment below as well, what are your favourite matches of the year 2021? Let me know in those comments. That's it from me, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all later.